I've been reading from this book, and I'm almost done. The words of Saint Francis of Rome. She's a saint. Her visions have been approved. And these are visions she had of heaven, hell, and purgatory. Get the book, written by Robert J. Nixon. He's the first and only person to translate it from Latin into English. In the book, she got very specific, very detailed punishments for various sins. And I just want to start by saying what she and many other mystics have said is that when they see visions of hell, is that most people there believed no hell existed. I have family members that don't believe hell existed, and they went to Catholic school and Catholic church like I did. I'm just going to read, and you decide if these are the words of a crazy lady or not. And if they make you scratch your head and think, then I beg you to research, find out truth, and live a life worthy of God. In this chapter, it is called The Particular Torments Reserved for Sinful Preachers, Hypocritical and Mercenary Confessors, and Corrupt Prelates. To her great relief, Frances was transported from the gruesome place of punishment reserved for wicked women. But the next region she visited was no less dreadful, for it was the area where iniquitous clergy received their fitting retribution. Led on by her celestial companion, Saint Raphael the Archangel, Frances bravely entered this place of abject confusion and chaotic darkness, reverently invoking the grace and protection of God. The first group whom she saw being punished, were sinful and duplicitous preachers. This group included all those who had failed in their duty to correct the wrongdoings of others, motivated either by fear or by hopes of gaining favor or reward. There were also present among them all those preachers who had mixed human falsehoods with the divine word of truth, and thus led their hearers into error or even unwitting heresy. The souls of such sinful and negligent preachers were sent into a furnace filled with opaque, contorted, and swirling shadows of almost palpable density. In addition to the suffocating and oppressive obscurity, there were a multitude of hideous adders and vipers, which struck out relentlessly with envenomed fangs and darting forked tongues. Now, before I continue reading, I think specifically of a pastor I know, Catholic priest, whom everyone loved. Everyone loves. I love him. And at our church, at the church that I was at, he allowed a woman to be a very active part of the church, to be a lector, and this woman claims to be in a homosexual marriage. And I asked him, why do you let her do that? Aren't you afraid of your own soul? And he said, well, if I reported her or stopped her, she'd go and call the bishop. And the bishop would, possibly make me lose my church. Who knows, maybe even lose his priesthood. And I said to him, Father, but isn't that better than losing your soul? He's afraid of the outcome, doesn't want to lose what he has. But so many of you priests watching have got to know to do what is only right and leave the consequences to God. Please, we love you. Preach the truth. And if they kick you out, God always ensures the truth is known. People will follow the man who is courageous. Anyway, I continue. There were also demons there in the form of huge black hounds. These wolf-like phantasmagoric, which is defined as ghostly or sinister. Thank God he put all these definitions in here. Because remember, Saint Francis of Rome lived from 1384 to 14 something. So these are words that were used more then. But in this horrible place, these wolf-like phantasmagoric creatures would squat down in a canine manner, emit foul-smelling, vicious dung into the mouths of those preachers who had lacked the courage to correct the faults of others as their duties had demanded. Since these preachers had been so reluctant to say anything which may have caused offense while they lived, explained the Archangel Raphael to Francis, they are now making up for it by being compelled to swallow this disgusting dung in copious quantities. Father, please correct your parishioners who are in gay marriages, gay lifestyles. Correct the couples who are living in sin, heterosexual. Correct the people who are in fake second marriages. Correct the people who are not living according to Christ's church. Please, I don't want you dealing with this for all of eternity. You're not doing any good if you don't. And we love you. We're here to support you. Speak the truth. There were other demons present in that region too, carrying vats filled with molten brimstone and pitch. They held in their hands large spoons or ladles. With these, they would take a scoop of the boiling liquid and pour it down the throats of certain souls. These are the ones who mixed falsehood in with the truth, said Raphael to Francis. They let the toxic filth of heresy come out of their mouths in their preaching. And so now their mouths are being stopped up with this superheated and sticky brew. In another place close by, Francis then saw the souls of mercenary and hypocritical confessors who had failed to administer the sacrament of penance with honesty, justice, and integrity. These souls were placed in a gigantic set of scales, which swayed about unsteadily and here we go with another good word, vertiginously, which means suffering from vertigo or dizziness. I'm going to read that sentence again. In another place close by, Francis then saw the souls of mercenary and hypocritical confessors who had failed to administer the sacrament of penance with honesty, justice, and integrity. These souls were placed in a gigantic set of scales, which swayed about unsteadily and vertiginously as if at random. Beneath these scales, a blazing fire burned intensely, its flickering crimson flames reaching up to the condemned souls to scorch and sear them. And there they were grinning demons standing by too, who shouted out words of condemnation and derision, saying, "You miserable and iniquitous wretches! You were once elevated to a position of sacramental authority by Holy Mother Church, yet you abused your position. For you failed to weigh people's sins in the scales of justice and truth, but acted according to your own self-interest, cowardice, and caprice. Now you yourselves are placed in these faulty scales to do all the penances which you failed to impose on others." Finally, she saw a vast chamber where the souls of corrupt prelates were punished. Francis observed that this group included bishops, abbots, cardinals, and, even to her great shock and horror, certain popes. The torments imposed upon these souls took a particular and distinctive form. Firstly, a large helmet made from red hot metal and molded into the shape of a bishop's mitre was cruelly forced upon their heads. Secondly, they were bound firmly onto a chair in the form of an episcopal throne. This chair was then raised up by ropes and turned upside down, leaving the souls uneasily and awkwardly suspended therefrom, with their heads towards the ground. Finally, a great wolf that was covered with coarse gray bristles and had salivating jaws and eyes like burning embers prowled about beneath them restlessly. It would direct vicious and voracious bites at their suspended souls and snarl in a chilling and bestial manner. There was also another demon standing by saying, "You iniquitous prelates, who are entrusted with high offices in the holy church of God. You are supposed to protect and lead the flock of Christ, yet you are not true shepherds at all, but rather ravenous wolves disguised in sheep's clothing. Well, then, this wolf of hell is surely fitting company for you now." This is no joke, guys, because in the Bible, Jesus himself said many of the scribes and Pharisees were wolves in sheep's clothing. Things haven't changed in any generation. Some are good and holy men. Some are going to burn in hell. And we need to pray for all of them, all of you, Father, all of you bishops. This is why God says, please, everyone watching this video, pray for your priests, pray for your bishops, pray for your cardinals, pray for our Pope. Don't pray out of hatred for what he says or things you disagree with. Pray that he doesn't have to suffer this, that God can change his heart today. And then he can change others. I continue reading this final paragraph. It says, by this stage, Frances was almost overcome by terror and exhaustion at all she had witnessed. But the angel Raphael once more urged her to take courage, reminding her that what she was witnessing was only a vision and that she was not really physically present there at all. Upon hearing this, the saint felt her heart strengthened and her courage and fortitude were once again restored. I don't think it's surprising that in this book, the very last chapter on hell was saved for the prelates, the preachers, the priests. And this isn't just Catholics. I'm sure there are Protestant preachers that are in here as well. Protestant preachers, though they don't know it, are in an active schism against Holy Mother Church. All of you laity, pray for these men that are leading us. Pray that God opens their minds and that they lead us to truth. Some are cowardly, as this says. Some are actually corrupt, but God can change a corrupt heart. Prayer can do that. And if you want people praying for you, don't be so arrogant as to think that you shouldn't pray for them, because it is specifically reading stuff like this that makes me pray for my deacon, my priest, my bishops, my cardinals, and even my pope. I have no more words other than please, please, please pray. And let's get as many souls as we can to heaven. I'm Dr. Christine Bacon. Thanks for watching this Bacon Bit. And no matter what you hear, remember to live your life sunny side up.